Hello everyone. I have an issue with or I should say had an issue with the 2014 Challenger. This is the Shaker edition with the 5.7 Hemi. And I picked this up last week, and the only issue I've had is slow cranking problem. So, and specifically when the engine is hot. So what would happen is the car would start just fine, no issues, and then I would go on a drive, get the car up to operating temperature, come back home, park here, let it sit for a minute, and then crank, and it wouldn't even crank. It would um, act like it's trying really hard, like a bad starter, which that's a spoiler a little bit. But basically, after doing a whole bunch of you know double checking, I've replaced the starter. But I want to walk you through the process of what all I checked first. And I thought this was interesting. I actually saw this in the box before I determined that the starter had to be done. But this is actually a little something that AutoZone gives you. They want you to make sure that you do all these four things before you decide to replace the starter. Just so you don't take the, buy their starter and then take it back. That's a big waste. So they want you to stop that. But unfortunately, you can't get this unless you buy the starter. So it's kind of an oxymoron. But I guess the hope is you do all this and then you don't use the starter and you can still take it back. But anyways, let me walk you through the process. So first thing is to check your battery. In my case, I load tested the battery with my tester, and it was actually a brand new battery, perfectly fine. And number two is actually the connectors to the battery terminal. Those were clean, but in some of the older Challengers, in fact, there was a TSB where they went back and upgraded the gauge for the wires. So I actually did the same here. This is a $10 upgrade, but if that fixed my problem, that's the easiest way to fix it. So basically this cable here, what you get is like a 4 gauge. I upgraded to a 2 gauge, and actually if you notice here, this is actually the police package battery. I upgraded to a H8 battery here, which gives me more capacity, and all I did was slice that bracket in half so I can clamp that in to get more space for the bracket. And then number three is basically the terminal test. So basically the B terminal test is where you connect the battery to the negative battery post and the starter B plus terminal. And then the other S terminal test is basically to connect the multimeter to the negative and the starter to S terminal with the ignition in the start position. Is the output less than 12.2? That means you're losing voltage somewhere. In my case, I did this test another way. I measured the resistance, and actually there was no issues whatsoever. I still found a problem. Leave you a picture here where the positive terminal was corroded, so I cleaned it up real good. I cleaned up the negative one also, just to be sure. And then when I was actually getting ready to install the starter, I actually found a lot of dirt and grease between the starter and the flywheel. So a whole bunch of crud came out, and I'll leave a picture here that shows what it looks like. Just a little bit left behind. And there was even a little piece of debris in there, like a piece of paper or something. So in my opinion, that may just have been just the problem. Probably didn't need a new starter, but honestly that starter was probably cranked so many times with all the debris in there that it's time to get a new one anyway. So okay, last thing is to actually show you how to change the starter. So this is the Shaker package with the manual transmission, and there's not a video on how to do it on YouTube. And actually it's A lot easier on this than the automatic transmission, and I'll show you why. Let's get under the car. So the videos that I saw for the auto, the starter was actually on the driver's side under the steering shaft, and it was actually a lot more work. Yeah, just a little bit more work. We had to get the steering column off and all that before you can access the bolts. But on the manual transmission, it is a lot easier. Just a quick rundown, not hard at all. So this is a how-to video, but at the same time I want to show you how to do it, and then hopefully you'll be able to do it yourself. Basically 3 bolts come off. 1, 2 above there, and then it actually took me a while to find the 3rd bolt, but lo and behold, it's right there. This one is actually a long bolt. It actually goes all the way through, and it comes out about yay big. Okay, so you get those 3 bolts off, and bam, the starter just comes out. Okay, and next step, you can do this first. Of course, remove the negative battery cable from the battery, and then there's 2 more things to remove, which is that nut there. That's the positive, and then this electrical connector. Once you remove those, the starter is out. Okay, it's as simple as that. Just do the reverse to put the starter back in, and that's it.